Hello, Education 2220 students. Welcome back. So, I hope everyone has had a great first week of classes and you're ready to begin the content. So, just to recap, last week we basically did the course orientation, we read the syllabus, we read through the Getting Started module. So, now we're ready to begin our coursework. So, each week or each module, I will be doing a video like this to kind of walk you through the expectations of that module that specific week and go over anything important that we need to be aware of. So, those videos are going to be posted on the course homepage. So as soon as you log into our class, it's going to take you to the news page. As you can see here, this was the welcome video. Hopefully you watched it last week for the first week of classes. I will be doing that each module or each week that we have classes. And I will also post the assignments that are due with due dates alongside the video. So I wanted to get started with Module 1 because Module 1 is where we are going to begin. So the way that I organize this class is very linear. It's very organized. So when you click on course information and content, that takes you to your assignments and readings for the course. If you have forgotten or slept, I know last week was a lot of information coming at you. Don't forget underneath the Getting Started module for you to go through and get your course calendar. So if you click on the Getting Started module, there is a section in there underneath instructor information and course. It has our fall schedule, excuse me. So make sure that you download that. That we can kind of keep up with. You do have that calendar on the right side of the course homepage. I do list it, but this is just good so you can kind of look ahead and know what's due, especially in terms of course projects like service learning, which I'm going to talk a little bit about in this video to get you started with service learning documents. So, as I mentioned, you will just click through the table of contents. We're going to begin with Module 1. Now, Module 1 is important because it starts us at the history and the legal foundations of special ed. So, really going back in time and looking at the key milestones, the historical aspects of education. We're also going to learn things that really shaped the field that we know today. So we're talking about things like IDEA, or since it's been reauthorized, it's IDEIA, ADA, Section 504. What do those things mean? Those key court cases that really shaped education. So we're going to really look at the legal framework aspect of education. So this is an important one. I know it's a lot. Um, but we need to know this and the supports that are in place for those exceptional learners. So, how I have each module laid out, it's going to be again in that linear fashion. So, every module will look the same in terms of the layout. So, the first one's going to be your overview of that specific module. So, just giving you a little synopsis of what it's about. Then we have our course outcomes. So, remember, um, course outcomes are the standards or the learning objectives that you need to master before you by the time you end the semester in December. So we're covering three right here inside of this module. And then you have your learning objectives. These are specific to this module. Okay, so make sure that we always look at the overview. It kind of gives you an idea of what you're in store for, what you're going to be looking at. I also provide you with keywords and concepts. So those are going to be key concepts or definitions or terms that you should know. A lot of this is going to come from your textbook. Any resources additional that I give you will also be there. Then we have the standards. Now, when I'm talking about standards, I know a lot of us go to like the Tennessee education standards, the teaching standards, but these standards are the standards specific for our course or our program. So we have what we call in-task standards. So these are teacher preparation standards. So if you're a pre-service learning teacher learning to be an educator and you're in college, we have these in-task standards for you. So it's important for you. They're also under resources, the whole list there, to go through them. And we're going to be talking about them throughout the semester, but we're going to cover learner development and learning environment. The other set of standards I give you is the Council for Exceptional Children. So these standards are for exceptional learners or special needs. So these are the ones that Council for Exceptional Children would find that you would need to know. Then you have the reading and resources. Now, under your reading and resources are anything that would be conducive to help support you in this module. For instance, we always have our required reading. Now, most of the time it's going to be reading from our textbook chapter because I don't like to give textbooks and assign them and not use them. So you will actually use your textbook in this course. A lot of our quiz questions and exam questions will come from our content in our textbook. So we're going to start out with chapter 1 um, in our textbook, Teaching in Today's Inclusive Classrooms. Now, if you remember, I told you to make sure that you knew how to access your textbook. So if you go back to the Getting Started module, excuse me, if you go to the Getting Started module, week 1 in course orientation, in there you're going to have information about our course. So underneath that, you will see textbook for this course and textbook materials. So this is the text I said that you needed to get. For this course specifically, you're enrolled in what we call the Inclusive Follett Access Program, where it allows you to get the textbook cheaper. Um, it's an ebook. You can reach out and get a paper copy. I did do the ISBN. So if you know someone that's had this course and they had the physical copy or an electronic, they're letting you use the ebook, that's great. If not, you can click the link here, or the easiest way to do it is if you go to your eLearn account, which is in your course, and you click on the button Student Help, you're going to see from the drop-down menu something that says Follett My Materials. You will click on it. And when you click on it, it's going to take you to the textbook that we have for this course. Now, mine looks a little bit different than yours because mine is for instructors, but you should be able to find your textbooks there. Um, it will show a picture of, okay, and make sure you're on the shelf. So you will see our book here. Yours, I guess, will just have this. These are all the textbooks I have in here, but you're going to see the textbook come up and it'll say core text. And you might have actually, this is the ebook here, and you'll be able to get in there and read it. But like I said, I'm fine with however you want to get it. If you prefer a print copy and you can get a used copy online in Chegg or Amazon, whatever is easiest for you, just make sure you have the textbook. So you will be reading chapter 1. I also gave you a resource, an additional resource. So this is a short book, I call it. It's more like a supplemental material. There is a this supplemental material, there's a chapter I want you to read, chapter 1, and it's called A Teacher's Guide to Special Education. It is an older text, but it is very useful in terms of the information. I kept looking at it. It's not outdated. Whenever it is, I will get rid of it. But for now, I thought it just gives you a little bit to go along with our chapter 1. I also give you links underneath the reading and resources. So anytime you want to get to a link, whether it's a video or outside web source, you would just click on open link and it opens in a new browser. So this video is talking about inclusive learning environments and what that means and what does that look like. Then I always give you the PowerPoint that goes along with the chapter textbook, textbook. So these are coming from the publishing company. I also give you my own. I just include them. Some students like them. Um, so that's a resource for you as well. I also give you a chapter outline for the textbook, which some students find helpful. And then I also have a PowerPoint in here. Now, some modules will have more resources in terms of PowerPoints than others, but this one I thought was important because it kind of gives you the evolution from special ed in the US, dating way back from like the 1940s and so on. One of the things I also offer for students, which I found is very useful, I've gotten a lot of good feedback, is Nearpod. So think of Nearpod kind of like an interactive PowerPoint. So you can go to join.nearpod.com and put this code in, or you can just click on the embedded link there and put your name. It is going to give you interactive self-paced where it could be have a quiz in there. It could have outside links. It has videos. It asks you questions. So it's very interactive and it goes along with our material that we're doing for that specific module. I have another video here about IDEA. So back in 2025, IDEA celebrated 50 years. So IDEA stands for Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. So you can watch that video. I also include citations and references for things that we use. And something that's really kind of neat, I feel like, is underneath communications in the discussion board, there is a discussion board forum called Questions About the Course. You're more than welcome. That's open the entire semester. If you ever have any questions about a specific module, I put it there for every module. Sometimes students in our class will answer it so your peers can give you answer, and I will give you answer. I usually check it about 2 times. If it's not a busy week, I can get in there 3. But if you need a faster response, just email me. But that's something that is there for you to note. And then the next section will be your activities and assessments. So these are things you're going to be graded on. So the first thing that you're going to do is you are going to create a timeline. So this timeline is going to be it's going to be about the evolution of important cases or things that shaped special education. So basically this timeline is going to have 2 parts. It's going to have a actual timeline you create and then a short reflection for part 2 of what you've learned. So when I was talking about things that shaped education or special education, we need to think about things like cases, like Brown versus Board of Education. So, really, we're looking at an event that shaped it. So, some major milestone, and I want you to have 5 on it. And I do have an example timeline listed for here for you to look at. I always feel like I'm a visual person, so it helps me. So, you have an example of a timeline here that you can do. So you will create the timeline. 5 major milestones have to be included. You need to do the event name. So you'll see here the event name, the date, and a brief description. I don't want a paragraph timelines. That's not the whole point of it. So it has to be very brief. An explanation of why it's important. So in your timeline, I really want you to be creative. Some people have just drawn it on paper, taken a picture, and submitted that photo. It could or if you're very creative, you can do a digital timeline. So I don't care if it's hand drawn, digital, Canva. I want you to be very creative. If you do draw it, hand draw it, you do need to make sure you take a picture and submit that to Dropbox. Now, so again, it has to be a major milestone. So the required topics could be things like it has to have landmark legislation. So example would be ADA, Section 504, or IDA. Key court cases. Here are some examples here. And then shifts in educational philosophy or policy. Now, your reflective analysis of it, it could be half a page up to 1 page, but it has to be at least half of a page. And these are the things I want you to address. So, how has historical and legal development shaped inclusive education today? How the principles, such as like IDA, influence classroom practice. So, the things that you talked about, your court cases, your examples you gave in there, how did they shape it? And why understanding these foundations are important for future educators? And how do these align with our learning objectives? And how do they align with our course outcomes? So you have your example there. I gave you a link to submit your assignment. There's another way to get to it. So if you click assessments and you click Dropbox, that will also take you to the Dropbox to submit your assignment. I sometimes give you what we call review games to help you study. Each module will have a quiz. So module one quiz will be over chapter one. So these are just like fun little games to help you study what you've learned in that module. So you can just click on it and it will take you to the game itself. And then there is a link to module one quiz. Now, something to note that's very important about my course is that all content opens on Friday the week before. So I don't know when you're watching this, but this video and the content for module one opened on Friday the 28th. All of our assignments are going to be due on Thursdays. So it will close on Thursday, September the 3rd. So that's just something to note. Make sure, because some instructors want you to turn stuff in on Sundays, so this can be a little bit confusing for you. Keep up with the calendar. If you have questions, ask, but all assignments will be due on Thursday. They will open the week before on Friday. So something else that's going to be due besides your module one quiz and your timeline is going to be service learning. So I told you last week that in the Getting Started module, it was important for you to read through the Getting Started module and the course projects. So if you haven't, this would be a good time to do it. We have three major components in this course that you have to complete. That's beyond your module quizzes and assignments. So you will have service learning, co-teaching, lesson plan and presentation, and choice-based project. Now, I will be doing a separate video for the co-teaching plan and a separate video for the choice-based project. I don't want to overwhelm us. But one thing that we're going to talk about today is our service learning. So service learning is a high impact practice where it kind of meshes learning in the classroom and real world experience in an actual classroom where you get placed. So you're going to take theory and put it into practice in the classroom. You do have to spend 12 hours of service learning in a actual classroom. So we do serve 10 surrounding counties, so there's lots of counties that you can be placed at. We do have a service learning coordinator that tries to put you where you would like to go. Sometimes that doesn't happen, but more than not, she puts you in your choice of school. Now, we obviously want you to pick a county or a school that's close to your home. We don't want you to travel far. Um, you will have to do what we call some pre-service documents. So we're going to kind of get through that today. So when you click underneath course projects and service learning, you're going to see all the information in here. Please read through this module. It is very important. There's a lot of information. Before you can get placed in service learning classroom, you have to make sure that you complete the pre-service documentation. Okay, so you're going to go through here, you're going to read what is required of you. You do have to have an approved site. We do have these counties and systems here that are approved that we have MOUs in place with. Okay, so you'll see here we have school systems, we have early childhood sites such as Alpha Baptist Christian Learning Center, Christian Academy of the Smokies, Lakeway Christian. So we have lots of options there for you. We also have the Boys and Girls Club, but this is only the one in the Great Smoky Mountains. So if it's in the Morristown area, we do not have an MOU with that. So please be aware of that. So it really kind of walks you step by step. For the sake of time of this video, I'm not going to go through. It is your responsibility to read all of it. What I am going to get you to look at is what do I need to do first? So the first thing to note is that before you can get placed, you do have to complete the paperwork, but you do also need to have a background check and you do need to purchase liability insurance. So liability insurance is just to protect you when you're in the classroom. We do have two choices. I will go through that with you in just a moment. You do also have to have a TBI fingerprint and background check as well. I do have a lot of stuff here underneath the pre-service learning documents. So pre-service learning documents are just forms that you have to complete and submit, okay, along with having your background check and then along with your insurance. So with the documentation, as I mentioned before, we do have a service learning coordinator. She does not have access to our class. So in order for her to place you, she has to have access to your paperwork. So you're going to actually join a team, a Microsoft team, and it's specifically going to house all of your paperwork that she needs to look at to get you placed. It's called Service Learning Fall 2026 Team. There is a join code here. This is specific to our service learning team. So all your paperwork will go in there. But before she can get your paperwork or you can submit anything, you first have to join that team. So that's number one thing that you need to do is join the team with this code. Now, once you join it, you should be able to start submitting your documentation. Some of these will not take you very long at all to fill out. So as soon as you start getting them filled out, I would go ahead and start uploading them. Now, if you're not familiar with Team, there is a video to show you how to join it with the code, which is right here. And then there is a link to show you how to upload documents if you're not familiar with that. If you need help, please reach out. I'll be more than glad to help you. We want to make sure she gets it and you put it in the right place. Now, the documentations is all here for you to look at. So this timeline and checklist, I really encourage you to download it and save it because it's important. Um, and it kind of just lets you know step by step, okay, here's what I got to do. First thing, I would go ahead and join the team. Okay. Action item 2. Then I would make sure I start filling out this pre-service learning documents because if you look here, there's already something going to be due this week on Thursday, which is your service learning application. Okay. Then you have to complete what we call a service learning hold harmless, acknowledgement of risk of being in the classroom. You will complete what we call a VECHS waiver form that gives us permission to look at your background check information to make sure there's no indicators. And then you have to submit proof of liability insurance. So there's some dates coming up pretty quickly. So that's why I really wanted you to focus on joining the team and getting this paperwork done. You're like, well, where's all this paperwork? All of the paperwork is underneath pre-service learning documentation. Okay. Then once we have your paperwork, what will happen is the service learning coordinator um, will ask you, okay, you need to make, or I will ask you specifically, reach out to the teacher at the school that you're interested in because they have to complete something called a referral confirmation form. And this is just stating that the mentor teacher you're with, as well as your principal or the director of the site, is okay with you being there. So once we have all your paperwork, I will reach out to you and tell you where you're going to be placed. Hopefully, it's your first choice school, and then that's when you would make contact and get that referral form. And yes, the referral form will be submitted to the team by this date. And then you'll get to start. I will give you the green light. You are not allowed to start any hours until you have been emailed the green light to begin. And then um, at that point, we will start looking at, well, what do we do now that we've started your hours, right? So you will be keeping a journal. You will keep up with your hours. So you have to have a log, and um, you will be evaluated by your mentor teacher that you're with. So those are called your closing documents where you will have your log of hours and your evaluation of how you did. And then lastly, you will be writing a reflection paper. So all this is here for you underneath the service learning. Um, let's go back real quick to the application because that's the first thing due this week. Here's the application you will fill out. You would download it, you will print it, you need to complete it. Um, as you'll see here, it's just asking for your information here. Um, where would you like to be placed? So first you need to put the county, your first choice, your second and third choice. If you have any special circumstances, we need to be aware of. If you have any special needs, we need to know. Now, one thing that I need to note for you that's very important, as this is for a special ed class, right, that you're taking with me. So you will be placed in a either resource room, CDC classroom, or if that's not available to you, you would need to be in a gen ed class where students have IEPs, okay, individualized education plans. So it will need to have a sped placement, so make sure you mark X. Okay, this is the one that we use for all of our education students, but make sure you put an X or check mark because you will need a sped placement. All right, so make sure you read through this, join the team, start working on your application. It is due Thursday, September the 3rd. And don't forget to go ahead and do your Module 1 homework. I know this is a lot. Please reach out if you have questions. I'm more than happy to walk you through and help you. Um, I'm here to support you. I hope everyone has a great week. And until next time, take care.